diamond is forever.
Elizabeth, what's the key moment in the commercial?
The key moment in the commercial is definitely when she looks back at the older couple. At the beginning of the commercial, what you see is that the younger couple is walking apart from one another as if they've had some kind of argument or fight, and she almost you can get the chill from her. Mm-hmm. And then they actually walk around the couple, and then she looks back, and it seems like she's questioning herself until she looks back. And the question she's going to be asking: will my love last? Mm. And then when she gets around the older couple and looks back, the answer is clearly yes. And I think the message here is that because I have this diamond, she clasps hands with her boyfriend or fiance or husband and says, because I have this diamond, that makes sure that my love will last. There's some really interesting things going on here because we know that love doesn't last forever. Divorce rates are very high. But the commercial, it might be effective because it's tying everlasting love to a consumer purchase. It reduces people's anxieties, especially women's anxieties about whether their partner will love them. It reduces men's anxieties. My partner knows that I love her because I bought her this thing. But if you really, from a psychological standpoint, if you really want to know whether couples are going to stand the true test of time, you look actually at how they argue with one another. John Gottman has done some research in this way, and he looks at contempt, criticism, stonewalling, and defensiveness, and you look at how people use that in a relationship, and if they show those things, with contempt being the best predictor.
I remember that in that research, contempt being like the dagger. If there's contempt, you're in deep doo-doo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So speaking from that higher moral plane, you're scum, you're a jerk, those kinds of things. That's what'll end up in divorce. So if you want to ask whether your love will last, look at contempt in relationships.
Sam, did you see that, or did you see her just settling? Because that's what I saw. That's where I was like, I better make the deal.
Well, I was actually thinking, because they say that love lasts longer than time, and so I did some math. Stephen Hawking says time started with the Big Bang 14.7 billion years ago, and the older couple. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're really still in love for 65 years. So, in fact, love can only last 1/226 million times as long as time. But listen, these are very successful ads by the De Beers diamond.
Is it De Beers or is Diamond Trade the same as De Beers?
Yeah, it's the same thing. And it's a cartel that is probably one of the worst companies that has ever existed, because they don't give you anything. They give you these rocks that are worthless because they control them, and at the same time, they exploit their labor and do a lot of other bad things in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't be specific because we don't want to be sued. We'll let the news shows do that.
Well, and in fact, the rocks are not probably very good for resale. So if you're in the era now of starter marriages, this may or may not be a very good investment if you have to turn around and resell it. I actually thought the key moment in the commercial was that the guy doesn't look back, that he's very confident. He thinks giving her the diamond has done it and settled the matter, and I think he's probably wrong.
For me, the key moment was seeing that it's her right hand that grabs his hand. And if you've got a product that lasts forever, you're never going to buy another one, right? The company has come up with a way to get people to buy more and more. Right. And, for the men, the engagement ring is now not the end of it. I recognize this is the 3-stone anniversary ring that she's wearing on the other hand. They've got right hand rings for women now.
They got the me hand and the we hand.
That's right. And so, you're buying again and again.
Actually, I went to the website, and you've got your right hand rings, your 3-stone eternity rings, and then you've got your I Do Forever ring, which looks a lot like the 3-stone.
And we remarried each other, same ring.
All
sorts of possibilities.
I like what you're saying about the ratio of time to love, because the interns went and figured out that the sun's going to run out of fuel in about 5 billion years. So there's a point at which love doesn't need to go longer than that either.
Actually, speaking of that, I thought one of the interesting things was the fact that they're always walking in shadows. I really thought at the end of the commercial they would suddenly merge into the sunlight once they realized they really did love each other. They stayed dappled in shadows throughout the whole thing.
I read that they did emerge more into sun, and that the commercial is built on these oppositions of dark and light. Even Europe, Old World, New World America.
I went back and watched it. I mean, they definitely started in shadows. I was a little surprised by that. Deeper shadow, but they didn't really come out into the full sunlight.
But maybe the more arguments you have, the more rings that you'll end up buying.
They can only hope.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually heard that happened to Bob Hope, who we can slander now that he's deceased. But apparently, every time he had an affair, his wife made him buy a new addition on the church, and the church is just this cobbled together, long building. Don't know if it's true or not, but it's a great rumor to pass along on PBS. Anyway, time for our extra question. They got an empty pocket. What are they packing, Christina?
Well, it's actually only the woman who's got her hand in her pocket, and it's got to be a Polaroid camera. That's why she's smiling.
Elizabeth.
Knowing what I know about my grandparents, pocket change, lots and lots of pocket change, and some peppermints.
Sam?
I think their hands are full of liver spots.
Jeez, Dan?
The chocolate that's actually brought them bliss.
I think he's got a flask and she's got a taser, but that's just my guess.